organic molecules that don't fit the requirements to count as a carbohydrate, a particular type of lipid. Some of them are hydrophobic, but then they're not quite a fatty acid or cholesterol or something. And they're not proteins or nucleic acids either. But we need them in our bodies for normal metabolism, and we can't make enough for our needs. There are some vitamins that we can make some of, particularly vitamin D. And under the right circumstances, we can make all we need, but not always. Because we want nutrition to be teachable to everybody, instead of hydrophilic and hydrophobic, we call the vitamin categories water-soluble, and fat-soluble. The fat-soluble ones, because they don't just dissolve in body fluids and move around, they can be stored for later use. The fat-soluble vitamins are A, D, E, and K. Water-soluble vitamins stay in the plasma if they're not held inside a cell, and they can be lost in the urine. So you need to get them supplied regularly. That's the B complex, so all the B vitamins, and C. One exception, B12, we do have a mechanism for storing it. So we'll take one vitamin at a time, look at what we need it for, where we can get it from. Vitamin A is part of the light-sensing protein in our eyes, specifically in the rods, so the ones for low light vision. So that's why they say if you eat carrots, you can see better at night. Maybe you can, but if you had plenty of vitamin A anyway, eating the carrots isn't going to get more. We can make vitamin A from a certain set of molecules called carotenoids that are found in what we call dark green and yellow vegetables. Usually these yellow ones are actually orange, like carrots and sweet potatoes. The major one is beta-carotene, which is the one in carrots, and is the reason we call them carotene. You can also get vitamin A that's ready to use in liver and eggs. Carotenoids also act as antioxidants. Who's heard of antioxidants? Now keep your hand up if you know what it actually is. Hey, we have one. Okay. So what antioxidants do is they can neutralize chemicals that can cause damage to our cells. An example is a free radical. Anyone heard of free radicals? Yeah. So what they are is a molecule with an unpaired electron. So not only is there an outer shell that's not full, there's one electron by itself that's even more reactive. So free radicals try to steal electrons from things around them to fill up that shell. They can damage DNA or membrane phospholipids by doing that and kill a cell or cause cancer. Antioxidants have electrons to spare. They can give the free radical an electron, and then it's harmless. Right. Questions on vitamin A or antioxidants?
So what are antioxidants good for?
Basically, they protect our bodies from chemical damage.
So just clean up?
Yep. Another example would be smoking. There's a lot of chemicals in the smoke that antioxidants can help with. Right. Vitamin D we need in order to absorb calcium from our foods. Vitamin D is also considered a hormone. It tells the intestinal cells to make some changes that let them take in more of the calcium. We can make it it's a 3-step process where we start with cholesterol in the liver and we make one change to it. And then it goes to the skin where we have to get hit with ultraviolet light to make the next change. And then the final step is it's activated in the kidney. You have to get enough UV to do that second step to have enough active vitamin D. And the further you are from the equator, the longer stretch there is each year where the sunlight just isn't strong enough. Around here, it's roughly December and January, where you can have a nice warm day and go out and sunbathe all you want, but you're not going to make much vitamin D because the sun is just too low, it's not hitting us hard enough. If you go further north like Scandinavia, you get 4 months or maybe even more where there's not strong enough sunlight. And places that you can get vitamin D that's past that step you need the UV for are oily fish like salmon and herring, and we put it in fortified milks. So northern or Arctic cultures tend to eat a lot of fish, and that makes up for the vitamin D they can't get from the sun.
If you have too much vitamin D,
I don't remember what happens with too much, but I know too much is like pretty extreme. Like you could take supplements of 1,000 units a day and not have any trouble with it.
so it's rare. I take it during the supplement.
Yeah,
during the winter
excess
months.
vitamin D is pretty rare.
But it can do some damage, like too much as
Yeah,
as
excess of
not
any
having
vitamin
much.
can do too much. I don't know, I don't remember what too much vitamin D does. I know too much vitamin A, especially during pregnancy, can cause birth defects. Too much vitamin C causes diarrhea. Too much vitamin K can make you clot, cause thrombosis inside your vessels. I can't remember what D does. And they've worked out like, okay, here's the amount that you need or you're going to get sick, and here's the amount that's too much, just on average for the population. And I've got all that in my old nutrition textbooks, but I don't remember it off the top of my head. Our other two fat-soluble vitamins, vitamin E, the only thing we know for sure that it does is it's an antioxidant, but there are certain places where it's the only antioxidant that will work, so you have to have some vitamin E. It's found in vegetable oils and nuts. It especially protects fats from damage by other chemicals, and that's why it's in the nuts and the vegetable oils, as the plants put it there to keep their fats from going bad. Vitamin K is required for hemostasis or blood clotting. It's mainly found in leafy green vegetables, so spinach, kale, anything like that. Now, vitamin E, as far as last I knew, all the tests they've done, they've not been able to find out an amount that's too much. Any other fat-soluble vitamin questions? Our water-soluble vitamins, starting with C because B is a little more complicated. So vitamin C is an antioxidant, and it's required for collagen synthesis. This is where most of the symptoms of scurvy come from. The teeth are loose because you need collagen to maintain the periodontal ligaments. There's bleeding and scabbing because with less collagen, the blood vessel walls are weak. Vitamin C also helps absorb iron in the small intestine, and that's when you eat them at the same time. So having, say, orange juice with your high iron fortified cereal, for example, will help you absorb more of that iron. Vitamin C is best known for being in citrus fruits. It's in a lot of other fruits and vegetables like tomatoes and fortified juices. Most 100% juice or even juice drinks that you buy at the store, they've added enough vitamin C to it so that it matches orange juice. Questions on vitamin C? The B vitamins, I'm not going to go into all of them very specifically. Most B vitamins are what's called cofactors, if you remember that from way back in the cellular metabolism chapter in A&P 1. So you build an enzyme, which is a protein, and then something else needs to be added to it to make it work. That's a cofactor. Most cofactors are either vitamins or minerals, which we'll get to next. And the enzyme just can't do its job without that cofactor. Most of the B vitamins have at least one job as a cofactor. They may have other jobs. Several of them are needed for cellular respiration. So you can't get as much energy out of your foods without them. The first three, thiamine, riboflavin, and niacin, are all required for cellular respiration. And these used to be called B1, B2, and B3. Thiamine is part of the enzyme that turns pyruvate into acetyl-CoA. Riboflavin and niacin are part of those electron acceptors, NADH and FADH. In fact, if I remember correctly, that's how they discovered them, was when white rice first became readily available. It was faster to cook, people liked it, they ate it, and we didn't realize until everybody was tired all the time and often really weak that something was missing from it. And that's because in the, your whole grain has three parts to it: a bran, a germ, and some stored carbohydrates. They take out the bran and the germ when they make it white, and that's where most of the vitamins are. So, by law, you have to add those back in when you refine the grains. So we don't have trouble with these deficiencies most of the time anymore. They happen under special circumstances like alcoholism, where somebody's getting their calories from alcohol and they're not eating much. Vitamins B12 and folic acid are required for DNA replication and therefore cell division. So not having enough of them can play into things like anemia, where you just can't make enough new blood cells. Folic acid in particular is essential early in pregnancy when the embryo cells are dividing quickly. It's one of the main factors in neural tube defects, where the brain or spinal cord doesn't form correctly. And there was a point, I think it was in the 90s, that they added folic acid to the list of vitamins that need to be replaced in refined grains. And the incidence of spina bifida dropped like 40%. B12 is also used to make heme, which is another reason that it's essential to red blood cell health. Questions on B vitamin functions? B vitamin sources are pretty varied. A lot of them are in grains. Fruits, vegetables, and beans have a variety of them. Both the grains and the beans have the thiamine, riboflavin, and niacin. Meats have some, because meat is made of cells, which has all those vitamins in it for making its energy. B12 is found only in animal products and a particular type of bacteria, sometimes referred to as blue-green algae. So this is the one thing that vegans do have to watch out for, but they can synthesize it in a lab and you can take supplements. And they also sell supplements of just putting the bacteria in capsules, and you can eat that and get it from it. It's not actually made by any of the animals. It's made by soil bacteria, but plants don't use it, so they don't take it inside. The herbivores get it from eating the grass, and then, because you don't wash the grass before you chew on it if you're a cow. The B12 gets taken in from there, and they keep it. Folic acid, mostly in leafy greens, but also in the grains. So, any other vitamin questions? Minerals. These are things from the periodic table. Most of the time, they're going to be electrolytes in the body. So, an anion or a cation, rather than an actual atom of that substance.